If someone had told Diana that the same week she found out her father's secret would be the beginning of her family's collapse, she would have laughed. Her life was perfect, or so she thought. Behind the glittering gates of Eden Crest Estate, where wealth sparkled like gold dust, darkness quietly brewed, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Diana Martins was the kind of girl everyone wanted to be. Her father owned one of the biggest tech companies in Lagos. Her mother ran a successful fashion line, and their mansion sat at the top of the hill like a glass palace. Every morning, a driver took her to school in a black SUV. She wore the best clothes, used the latest phones, and was always seen smiling. To outsiders, Diana's life looked like heaven, but inside, she often felt lonely. Her parents were always busy, meetings, travels, events. They loved her, but love sometimes felt like a scheduled appointment. Her best friend, Shola, was the opposite. Shola's parents were travelers, always moving from one country to another. They left her with a house, some money, and promises that they'd come back soon. But they rarely did. Unlike Diana, Shola cooked her own meals, washed her own clothes, and paid her own bills. Life had made her strong, but also fragile in ways no one saw. They were two different worlds, one of gold, the other of grit, but their friendship was real. It was a Friday evening. The sun was dipping, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink. Diana and Shola sat on the grass field near their estate, watching boys play football. The smell of dust, sweat, and laughter filled the air. Shola leaned forward, eyes fixed on one of the players, a tall, lean boy with messy hair and restless energy. "That's Andrew," she whispered, smiling. "He's actually kind of cute." Diana frowned. "Cute? Shola, that's Andrew Aachen. Everyone knows his story." "So, what about it?" "His father killed his mother," Diana said, lowering her voice. "He's been living alone since then. You should stay away from him." Shola rolled her eyes. "That's not his fault, Diana. You judge people too quickly." "I just don't want you to get hurt," Diana said firmly. "That guy has trouble written all over him." But Shola wasn't listening anymore. Andrew had just scored a goal, and he flashed her a crooked smile that made her heart skip. When the game ended, Andrew walked straight toward them. "Hey," he said to Shola, ignoring Diana completely. "I've seen you around. You live in Block D, right?" Shola smiled shyly. "Yeah, I do." "I'm Andrew," he said, stretching his hand. "I know," she said, shaking it. Diana crossed her arms, glaring. "You also know he's trouble, right?" Andrew turned to her with a smirk. "Relax, princess. I don't bite." Shola laughed, but Diana's face hardened. Something about his tone, cold, confident, and dangerous, made her stomach twist. A few days later, Diana visited Shola's house after school. They watched movies and gossiped until late evening. As she walked home, the sky was dark and quiet, and the estate lights glowed softly along the road. When she reached the front gate of her house, she noticed her father's car parked unusually outside, away from the driver's area. She hesitated. Then she heard laughter from inside the car, a woman's voice. Curious, she moved closer, her heart pounding. The tinted window was slightly open. She peeked inside and froze. Her father sat in the driver's seat, smiling as a woman touched his cheek. They were laughing, whispering, then suddenly kissing. Diana's legs trembled. Her breath caught in her throat. "No," she whispered, "this can't be happening." Tears filled her eyes as she ran quietly back into the house, her chest burning with confusion and betrayal. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her father with that woman. For days, Diana barely spoke to her father. She avoided him at breakfast, ignored his calls, and spent hours locked in her room. Her mother noticed. "Diana, what's wrong? You've been so quiet lately." "Nothing, Mom," she lied, forcing a smile. "I'm just tired." Her father tried to lighten the mood. "Princess, come on. You've been acting strange. Did I do something?" Diana looked at him sharply. "Why don't you tell me?" He blinked. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean," she said, standing up from the dining table. I saw you, Dad, in your car with that woman. The room fell silent. Her mother looked confused, but her father's face went pale. Diana, he said slowly, please not here. No, tell Mom, she snapped, tears forming again. She deserves to know. Her father stood and held her hand tightly. Listen to me, please, don't say anything. It was a mistake. I don't want this family to fall apart. Then why did you do it? She whispered. He sighed heavily, guilt written all over his face. Sometimes adults make mistakes they can't explain, but please don't destroy what we've built. Diana pulled her hand away, shaking with anger. You already did. Weeks passed. The tension in the house hung like smoke. To cool off, her father suggested a family vacation. Let's go to London, he said one morning. Just the four of us, we need this. Her mother agreed, hopeful that things would get better. Diana didn't want to go, but she didn't have a choice. When they arrived in the UK, the city lights, the cold breeze, and the quiet streets felt like a new world. For a while, Diana almost forgot the pain. One afternoon, her mother said, Let's visit your Aunt Grace before dinner. Sure, Mom, Diana said, smiling faintly. They took a cab and spent hours chatting with her aunt. Everything felt peaceful until they started heading home. It was getting dark. The car passed through a narrow street when suddenly, pop, pop, pop. Gunshots. The cab screeched to a stop. 4 men were shooting wildly at each other on the street ahead. People screamed and ran for cover. Get down, the driver shouted. Diana ducked, pulling her mother with her. But before she could move again, she heard her mother gasp. Mom. Blood. Her mother's waist was bleeding. Mom, Diana screamed. Somebody help. The driver sped off, swerving through the chaos. Diana pressed her hands against the wound, tears streaming. Stay with me, Mom, please. At the hospital, doctors rushed her into the emergency room. Diana stood outside, trembling. Hours passed. The door finally opened, but the look on the doctor's face said it all. I'm sorry, he said softly. We did everything we could. Diana's world shattered. They flew back to Nigeria 2 weeks later. The once lively Martin's mansion became silent, filled with flowers, whispers, and grief. Diana stood beside her mother's coffin, numb. Her father cried publicly, but Diana couldn't even look at him. Every time she did, she saw betrayal, his, not her mother. After the burial, life tried to move on, but something inside Diana refused to heal. 3 months later, her father came home one evening with a woman. Diana, he said softly, this is Cynthia. She'll be staying with us for a while. Diana's stomach turned. She recognized the woman instantly, the same woman from the car. Cynthia smiled sweetly. Hello, dear. I've heard so much about you. Diana said nothing. She just turned and walked away. But soon, Cynthia's true colors began to show. Whenever their father traveled, she would shout at Diana's younger brother, slap him for little mistakes, and starve him as punishment. Diana tried to protect him, but Cynthia always covered her tracks before their father returned. Every day, the mansion that once shone with laughter now echoed with fear and silent tears. And deep inside, Diana began to plan how to uncover everything and destroy the perfect lie her father had built.